Hi, my name's Glenn Hasselman. I'm just making this video for the free accounting software users to show you guys how to do fuel tax credit in free accounting software. So I've set up a couple things and I'll just talk you through the setup. The main thing is in the tax codes. I've set up this tax code called fuel tax credit claimable credits. There's also a tax code that you could set up called fuel tax credit overclaim credits, which you can probably work out how to do that based on the setup that I'm demoing here, so I'll just demonstrate this one. Now the percentage, I've actually just got that blank. We are actually going to directly enter the tax amount rather than have the system calculate that for us. There are variations on how to set this up, and I'm just going to demonstrate this way of setting it up. Now, active true classification reference is an asset, so the claimable credits are receivable from the ATO, so that is an asset. The FAS classification, there are a few different ones for fuel tax credits. There are the overclaim credits one, which are paying it back to the ATO, and there's a tax code for the refunded from ATO. So ignoring that, there are two options for claimable credits. One is called fuel tax claimable credits dash tax amount bracket recommended, and the other one is called fuel tax claimable credits bracket use other option. So the option to use is this one here. The difference is that this one will pick up the tax amount as it says and use that on the FAS, whereas this one actually picks up the net amount, and that is a different way to do it, on how, depending on how you're going to enter it. But I'm going to demo this, and I recommend using this method. Okay, so after you set that up, save, and then also I'll set up an account for this as well. So going back to the menu, going to the accounts. First of all, I set up an account called fuel used in equipment. So you know, normally if you're claiming fuel tax credits, it'll be because you're using fuel in a off-road scenario, so you're entitled to get the refund. There are other things like heavy vehicles and whatever, but just going with this for the demo. So it's the reason I'd say to set up another account is you don't want to mix this up with fuel used in motor vehicles, because you'll find it very hard to separate that later. Okay, so that's just a normal expense account and is used in the normal way as you would when you're purchasing anything. Okay, now the other account I set up is called FTC, claimed from ATO. So FTC is the abbreviation for fuel tax credits. I've called it an expense account and active true, and I've picked up as the default tax code that tax code that I just showed you called FTC claimable credits. Now the reason I've called this an expense account is because this account is going to offset the fuel expense account that I previously just showed you. You could not have this account and just enter it directly against the fuel used in equipment account. I think it's going to be better to sort of see the fuel expense as one figure and then the offsetting amount that was claimed back as a negative, rather than have those two figures netted on the income and expenditure report. Okay, now going to the other purchases worksheet where we enter all the purchases and just changing the date. The BAS that I'm using to demonstrate is the September 2020 BAS, So this is just a purchase of fuel, and this is just a regular cash payment, purchase of fuel to be used in equipment. I've put $30 of fuel there. I'll just expand the font a bit, which you can do by pressing Control Plus, and that's just changing it into sort of, I guess, one column format where you've got the header up here and then the transaction line down here. If you expand the screen enough, you'll see that you get a quantity and rate box, and this will be useful if you have fuel tax credit, because when you claim fuel tax credit, you claim it based on the litres that you purchase. So if you have, in this case I've put fuel used from equipment, GST taxable purchase, and I've put 20 as the quantity, so let's say it's 20 litres, and it's $1.50 per litre over there. Then when I go to the, just shrink the font again so it looks a bit more normal. Then when I go to the income and expenditure report, I can see fuel used in equipment, and I've got this 20 there. So I'm just doing the income and expenditure report from July to September, so just one quarter, and I guess at the end of the quarter you would, check how many litres of fuel you'd used that was eligible for claiming fuel tax credit, and pick up that number. And I've just entered one purchase. You'd have probably several throughout the quarter. Okay, so now we're, let's say we're at the end of the quarter, we're ready to enter our transaction to claim fuel tax credit. I guess the first thing to demo is that, let me just, alright, when you go into the activity statement for the first time, you won't see any transactions there, and I've demoed this on the previous FAS lodgement video, and then you just have to regenerate transactions. Now, okay, so if you go to the lodgement page, you'll see that there's fuel tax credit over here. You can't enter directly there. So the way to get the amount in is you have to enter a transaction, and that will then get pulled into this spot on the FAS. Now, the benefit of doing it that way is that you will have, it'll force you to record the transaction correctly, rather than just having a number here, which you later on might sort of struggle to work out how you calculated it. Now, so we go to the other purchases worksheet, click new transaction, and we can actually just do this as a cash payment, just the same as any other transaction, and I would pick the last day in the quarter. Any day in the quarter will do, but you do this as the at the end of the quarter, because you would get to the end of the quarter, you'd work out how much fuel you'd use, and then you'd claim it. I'm going to select this counterparty called not applicable, which is just one that I'd recommend using where you're not really wanting to track, or there is really no counterparty, and give it a description called fuel tax credit claim for September 2020. Okay, add line. Now I'll just sort of expand that so it's easy to see the font. Now you could pick this account called that we set up, fuel tax credit claim from ATO. It's already come up with the tax code. Okay. Now in this case I'm not going to enter quantity and rate. I'm actually just going to enter it in the description here. So September quarter, I think we said 20 litres, and you have to look up the rate to claim this as, so it's sort of around 40 cents per litre. I think it might be like 39 or something like that at the moment, but I'm just going to use 40 cents to make the calculation simple, but look up what it is, and it does change. So with inflation, so I think it changes twice a year, but make sure you look that up. Put at 40 cents per litre. So the amount I'm going to claim is $8, okay? And you can just put a 0 in the amount there. Alright, well that sort of, when I put the 0 it calculated the tax as 0, so I'm just going to put that back in as $8, okay, and then save. Okay, so let's see how that looks on the BAS. Now we've already been into this BAS and generated the transactions. We need to regenerate the transactions to get it to pick up this new one. Okay, and there it is. It's got the $8 fuel tax credit there. So let's go to the lodge page, and the $8 comes through over there. Okay, and that's how you get the fuel tax credit onto the BAS. You'll notice there's also a fuel tax credit overclaim, which you could just, it's a very similar setup to what I've just done here, and you could go and set up the tax code based on that. Now I also want to show you how this looks on your income and expenditure report. So going to the income and expenditure report, we've got fuel used in equipment, and that's the purchase of the fuel. We've got the negative on this expense account here, where we've got fuel tax credit claim from ATO. And we've got the down in this section, which is asset increase / decrease, we've got the fuel tax claimable credits. So this is the line that results in the $8 going on to the BAS, which is essentially a debit to a asset or a receivable for fuel tax credit. It, I think, works or makes a lot more sense when you have a BAS off cloud business, because you'll get a balance sheet. This asset section will be in the balance sheet, and so that's probably the correct place for it. But with the local files not having a balance sheet, it's just shown as an increase or decrease to an asset over here. For users who do have a BAS off cloud business, you might want to also set up the tax code to use when you receive the money back from the ATO, and that would be in the tax codes, and you would in that case set up a new tax code, not editing this one, but you would use this tax code, fuel tax credits refunded from ATO here. Alright, hopefully that's enough to get you claiming fuel tax credit on your BAS. I hope this video has been useful to you, and thanks for watching.